President, I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, could you give us some legislation?
We'll take a look at that.
Okay.
The question regarding Airbnb, those are definitely big businesses.
Yeah, I think it would be, and I'm going to factor that into the research.
Yes, but you gotta look at it, and this is, I'm just
And
an analytical person, but I look at it like this. If he's saying that there's, the Ohio Basic Building Code has a criteria for these units, these type of units, then how can we say that they're a business when they identify Ohio building thing? So now we got a conflict between the Ohio building. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you right now, there are a lot of cities looking at regulating Airbnbs.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of stuff.
What we need to do is look at the question.
Well, and there's some difficulties in doing it.
Right.
Otherwise, the legislation would have just gotten an A.
Okay, what I'm saying is that we can legislate, all I'm saying is that it'll be the difficulty of trying to call it a business and deal with it is too far away. I don't think that that's gonna be a real physical piece.
It's something to be looked at.
It's something to be looked at, but,
Okay.
yeah.
But
Not that I don't want it to be
there's a
that way.
lot of information floating around right now on the law director exchanges. And, we will have some recommendations for you within a month, okay?
Okay. Now, may we hear from our engineer?
Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to address any questions on 2023-23, the resolution which will authorize the mayor to enter into a cooperation agreement with Twinsburg for a Ohio Public Works Commission application. I'll be happy to answer those questions when legislation is presented.
What I'm requesting for you to do is to give us somewhat of a summary of it. Because when I heard about it, I talked to you about it.
Yes.
And you sort of summarized the history
Sure.
of it, and you know where I stand on it, but
Yep.
just
Would you like me to do
summarize
it now, or?
Yeah, now.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, this is one of those projects that's been around forever. And, before I retire, I wanna make sure it gets done. And except for a few senior members of council,
No, he didn't.
most of you probably don't remember the history of this project. It has 4 communities that are involved, and it's always difficult to get 4 people or 4 communities to agree on any project.
For the residents to know, this is the corner at Richmond and Broadway. This here is Oakwood Village. This here is Macedonia. This here is Twinsburg, and this here is Glen Willow. And we got one light. And so the problem was that it was, at first, it was really offset. So you trying to make a left. So we eventually, in phase 1, because we had an alignment agreement that we were gonna go, Macedonia and Twinsburg was going to Summit County, Oakwood and Glen Willow going to Cuyahoga County. We were gonna get funding as a joint venture to line up the streets and make that a lot safer. And this has been going on for years. But what ended up happening is that all the time we're trying to do it, one of the communities couldn't do it or participate. And then it got to where it was 3 that was on board in Macedonia said that they couldn't afford it, they couldn't do it at the time. So we went ahead and did what you saw. And you know how you go in off there, it's no longer just a straight street, you got a little bit of a turnaround or a right turn, and then the rest you go straight. So that relieves some of the traffic coming from the Glen Willow and over in those areas where the businesses are coming up Richmond Road. And now they can turn right, and it helps ease that traffic in that area, at least leaving out of Oakwood, and that's what we're concerned about. So now Macedonia has called and said, well, we've had the money now, we're ready to finish up the total scope of what we were talking about doing.
So if, I believe they're gonna be applying for around 400,000, so, 100,000 would go towards each community, as far as the final cost is concerned. So the other thing I did is I forwarded the September 2020 municipal breakdown for the work that was previously performed and the work that's yet to be performed as part of this project. So the breakdown identifies the 2013 project costs as well as the contributions from the Ohio Public Works Commission, the Community Development Block Grant, and the villages of Oakwood and Glen Willow. The breakdown further identifies the 2025 costs. So this is now a 2025 project. It's identified as a 2024 project in that breakdown that I gave you, but it's scheduled for
Is
2020.
this what you're talking about? Where's the
yep.
breakdown?
It is,
It's in all of them. It's part of the
looks like
legislation.
that.
I need him to tell me where it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of information in here. What that breakdown identifies is the 2025 project costs.
I can't tell you how it has financial contributions to project. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
As it disclosed in item C, exhibit A, it is anticipated each participant in this agreement will incur a total combined cost of $188,479 for 2013 and 2014 improvements. In the Macedonia Twinsburg shall contribute $77,106 or a total of $154,212 towards the 2024 improvements. After which all participants in this agreement shall contribute equally to the remaining costs of the 2024 improvements. So, question number one,
Yes.
how much was the original job?
Are
And
you talking about
the
the
2013?
2013 job? The cost of that project was $857,876.
And has it been paid yet?
Oh, yeah.
It was been split equally between the three communities.
It was actually split between Glen Willow and Oakwood. So Glen Willow and Oakwood each contributed a total of $77,106 towards that project.
Okay,
So that's subtracted then from that 188,479 that you referenced. So when it's all said and done, at the end of the project in 2025, Twinsburg will send us an invoice for $111,373,000. They'll send an invoice to Glen Willow for $111,373,000. And Macedonia and Twinsburg will each pay $188,479. So that'll account for the money that we've already put into the project. Now, the additional money that we're requesting now, or that Twinsburg will be requesting on our behalf, would be subtracted from that amount. So if there was another 400,000, 100,000 would be taken off of each community's total cost.
but this is how I'm looking at it. We already paid for what we need, for
Well,
what we got.
Yeah,
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
We
go
already
ahead.
paid, and so did Glen Willow, paid for what we received.
Mhm.
And now, I don't, the joint venture, when the other two communities, or it's only us two, and we go forward with it, and we got what we wanted, it's hard for me to see what advantage is for Oakwood Village to get onto the bandwagon with this, except for it's just gonna cost us more money. I see us having to pay more now over and above the 77 that we already paid. Do you see that?
It's
And let me just say, do you see that? About how much more how much more would each community, you speculate, be contributing to this project out of pocket after the grants and all of that?
11,000.
111,000.
111,000?
Yes.
So my question is, an additional 111,000?
Yes.
Okay.
111,000.
11,000, because 100's coming off that 400,000.
Right. Yeah,
So now-
and again, there's additional funds are going to be applied for also. So this is a work in progress. It's like the work that we do. you know, we get a big chunk of money, in this case it's from NOACA
And then we
and
go
from
for
EMAS,
other-
and then we start chipping away at it. The goal obviously is to get to zero. I don't know if we'll get to that goal, you know, but, we will try to keep it at an absolute minimum.
Okay, so
and-
what you're saying is that worst case scenario, out of pocket, we will be paying how much?
111,000 and $111,478.
373.
Yeah, and that'll be in 2025.
We don't care about what it is.
Okay.
I mean, it could be tomorrow, it could be in 2028, but it's still us out of pocket paying
Yes,
something.
it is out of pocket
Right.
at this point.
Right.
Okay, so if we get this,
If we get this, then what?
then it's gonna be less.
It's gonna be less than about, what we're saying, about 11,000?
Maybe, yes.
If everybody get 100,000, it'll be
Yeah.
11,000?
Yeah,
Okay, now what additional work is gonna be done
that's,
for Oakwood Village?
and that's the important question, because what we have there, and we did make a big difference. It's a huge difference. The realignment of that intersection allowed the north-south traffic. They didn't have to, you know, make a right turn and make another left turn.
Right.
But there's still not a left turn only lane going northbound on Shepherd. So what that does is it.
Wait, let me just identify. So you're saying there's no left turn, but that's benefit
Left
Macedonia.
turn only.
That's not Macedonia. When you say Shepherd,
Correct.
you sound, that's Macedonia.
That's
Just
correct.
let everybody know, Richmond is here, Shepherd is
Right,
here.
right.
So once you cross Broadway and you go into Macedonia, Richmond Road turns into Shepherd Road.
Right.
So that's for everybody.
Yeah, so there,
So
right
Shepherd,
now,
you
there's
don't have-
only, there's a through left combination. So you can either go straight or turn left. And if you look at the way we striped Richmond, it's the same thing. There is not a true left turn only lane. Okay, so with this improvement, we're going to provide a left turn only lane as well as a through lane.
Well, let me ask you this. When I visualize this, looking at Richmond Road only being 2 lanes, right?
Yes.
What good would a left turn lane be for us when you space the cars out? It's not enough distance to the intersection, to where the intersection widens to make a difference for a left-hand turn. Because of the fact, think about it, because of the fact that if the cars is in this narrow spot, the cars are in this narrow spot, and once they get up here, if this car doesn't turn left, he in the way. So this guy can't even get to the
Right.
left,
Right.
get to the left lane because they way back here. And if it was a double lane on each side, then you could see people bypassing and being able to turn left. But if I wanted to turn left and I'm 5 cars back, I can't turn left until I get up to the light.
And
And
that's,
even if there's a left-hand turn lane, I can't turn left until I get up to where the street widens. But the street have to widen way at least 200-300 feet back for that left-hand turn lane to really be effective.
and that's correct, and that's, if you take a look at the way it's striped, so we have temporarily striped the north side, the Richmond Road portion. There's a cross stripes there, so that it forces everybody into one lane, okay? But there is room there for 2 lanes, which will accommodate that storage that you're talking about. So, you know, it'll work, once it's completed, it'll work like any traditional intersection that has a dedicated left turn lane.
But you're saying that ours got a dedicated left and right turn lane.
No,
Ours
it's-
will have a
It
dedicated
will,
left and right
it'll be
turn.
restriped, the pavement is there, it's just not striped.
But what I'm saying is that with the traffic there, the left turn lane is ineffective if you got 5 cars up from the light
Well,
back, 5 cars, what you gonna do, go out on the outside?
You'll
and
have
turn?
that storage, there is storage there for that 5, 6, 7, 8 cars.
But they have to get there first.
Yeah, and well.
They have to get there first, but if they're backed up here,
Yeah.
And all of the traffic is up here, and they can't get to it to get into that left turn lane because there's only one lane here, one lane there. Even before it widens, this traffic here is gonna keep the traffic from being able to turn left.
Yeah, so with this, I mean, we do, the modeling, obviously, we use the traffic counts to determine how big that storage has to be. So that was designed originally to handle that storage in both the north and southbound directions. The other thing that's gonna happen is there's gonna be a dedicated right turn lane at Shepherd, at Broadway. So there's gonna be a right turn lane that's gonna allow the traffic to continue on Shepherd as the other
See what you're
traffic
doing, we're
continues
talking
down.
two different directions. I'm talking Oakwood Village. I'm
Yeah,
talking
well,
Richmond Road.
see,
I'm talking the traffic
I
coming from
get it.
Richmond going south. When you coming up, and all of that traffic coming up there, if that road isn't wide enough for the people that's turning right, which we already got the designated right turn lane, and the people going straight. Now, if you don't get enough people turning right and the people going straight are sitting there at a red light, all of these people back here, anyone that wanted to turn left, if we put the left-hand turn lane in, what good would it do? They can't even get to it.
Yeah, so the way these are designed is it allows what we call a true cycle interchange. So basically it's going green one direction, red in the other. Right now we have like a 3 cycle. So there's a portion of the time where one leg is red, or 3 of the 4 legs are red to allow that left turn movement. And that's where the inefficiency is. So what's being proposed will make this intersection more efficient. And what it does is it provides more green time for both Richmond and Shepherd, the north-south movement, and the east-west movement on Ravenna and Broadway.
I mean, the only way that it could even possibly halfway work is if the lights are staggered. Going south from Oakwood to Macedonia and going north from Macedonia to Oakwood. That light has to be staggered, that Oakwood's traffic is green, but this traffic over here is red.
Yeah, so with the detectors, these will have the radar detectors, and it has a lead left turn arrow. So for the people that are in that left turn lane, waiting to make that left turn, they will be able to do that.
But they gotta get to the left turn
And they will, because the other people will be able to continue going southbound or northbound, depending what side of the street you're on, when the light is green.
Yeah, when the light
Okay.
is green, right.
Right, this is all modeled, and it's, it's synchronized. It's a state-of-the-art system. And really what it does is it converts it into a traditional, green one direction, red in the other direction, rather than red, 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 one green. Now you're gonna have green, green, red, red.
Well, I believe that they do that for the same purpose you just telling us about the state of our art, is because of the fact that wherever you see that at,
Yeah.
is done to address that traffic pattern and traffic needs.
Yeah, and the other thing it does do is it promotes the right turn on red, because you'll have a dedicated, right-hand turn lane. Like you indicated, right-hand turn on red is worthless if you got a guy in front of you
That is
or
a
a
turn.
woman who's going straight.
And it just as
So-
much as that right-hand turn,
Right.
the left-hand turn is just as equal.
It's the same thing.
But my point is that our right-hand turn is already there.
Well, so what happens now is a lot of times when a light turns red, okay, if you have 2 lanes that are accelerating, it gets twice as much volume through as 1 lane. Just that lag of starting cars moving takes a lot of time. So if you have 2 separate lanes, now you're moving twice as much traffic. And so if you can peel off that right-hand turn movement, you're really getting twice as many cars through there when the light is green. So, and that's really what the benefit is. If you're interested, I will send you the traffic report for it. But just the efficiency that this will bring to that intersection will really benefit all 4 communities, From Oakwood's perspective, it'll really help that southbound movement in the evening peak. So when, you know, when people are, there's been times where I've seen where it is backed up almost to the roundabout. And this will help eliminate or minimize, you know, that peak PM hour backup. The same with the traffic that's coming out of Oak, or going into like Twinsburg and Macedonia. So you'll have more vehicles that can make that southbound movement. Same in the morning coming in. So it really is a benefit to all four communities. And like I said, we've been, you know, trying to put this together for obviously, you know, the last 20 or so years. But I think you'll notice a, you know, a dramatic improvement. Like I said, what we did made a huge difference. I mean, it was a disaster before we made that improvement, but it only got half the job done. I mean, we're gonna improve it just as much with this proposed work as we did with the last portion. So it's a job that literally is half done.
I think it's 3/4 done on our end. It's 3/4 done on our end, and it's 25% done on Twinsburg end, and it's almost like 0 done on Macedonia.
Right.
But for Oakwood and Glen
Yeah.
Willow,
The problem is if there's a jam in any direction, it impacts the whole intersection.
we understand
You know what I
that.
mean? And that's
But the
really
left
what-
turn lane doesn't dilute the jam.
well, getting it out of there helps them, you know, helps the jam. So,
Well-
you know, you get that person stuck in the intersection, you know how it is. I mean, if you're anything like me, you're getting in the middle of that intersection and, you know,
And making
until
that
that
left
last
turn.
guy is going northbound, you're making your left-hand turn.
Right.
And that blocks everybody else, so,
So,
yes,
So the 111,000 could be due in 2025,
yes,
so you have a little over a year to look for additional funds to bring it as close to zero.
correct,
Are
yeah.
there specific places you know you can look further down?
This is really the first one. Ohio Public Works Commission through District 8. So we may be able to apply next year as Oakwood, or Glen Willow can apply to District 1 of the Public Works Commission. All four communities can also apply to their individual community development block grant agencies. We could petition the county for some additional money under their 50/50 program. There's a variety of different programs that we can use. And like I said, it's a lot like we do with all of our projects. You know, with this one, we received we received $1.3 million from NOACA and AMAS. NOACA is the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency, which is our transportation planning organization. Summit County's equivalent to NOACA is called AMATS, which is the Akron Metropolitan Area Transit Society. Yeah, I made that one up. I'm not sure what, but it's their equivalent. And so they kicked in some additional money too. So those two organizations are gonna pay 80% of the total project cost, regardless of what it is.
And so when you said we could possibly apply for Ohio Public Works next
Yes.
year, can only one of the communities apply or all of the
All of them,
communities?
yeah. So this is, Twinsburg's doing it now, because they have an earlier, application day.
Yeah. Would any new resurfacing be done on the corner of Broadway or Richmond?
Yeah, it'll,
So we're
so,
due for Broadway in 25.
Yeah, so
ourselves,
this
we
will-
might save some on
and that,
the Broadway part
thank
of
you
it.
for bringing that up, because, so the right turn lane will extend almost back to where the, RTA stop is on Broadway. So that section will actually be resurfaced as part of this project, which will then, like you said, reduce our cost on the Broadway project that we'll be resurfacing at the same time. in 2025. So our resurfacing of Broadway from Tryon to the Corp line is actually gonna be to the Corp line minus about 700 feet. So there will be some cost savings on that.
Ms. Howard?
Can we get to the what ifs? What if, let's say Twinsburg, Mass, what if they don't participate again? It's like,
That's where Jim Clymer, our law director, comes in. I mean, it's a pretty ironclad agreement. I mean, we really did spend a lot of time putting this together.
And forgive me, it's been a while, I haven't looked at it in a while, but if I recall correctly, we required that the jurisdictions that backed out before approved this before the others did. So in other words, the people that didn't keep their word have already committed.
Which is Macedonia.
And,
basically.
yeah, and just as importantly, we'll get invoiced after the work is done. So somebody decides they're gonna pull out, we just don't pay them. And there's no money coming out of our pocket. So Twinsburg is the lead agent on this. So, this is what we call a LPA agreement with ODOT. So there is an agreement between ODOT and Twinsburg, and Twinsburg is acting as the lead agent on this. So, the $2 million that I referenced from NOACA and AMATS is actually between ODOT and Twinsburg. And then, once the project is completed, they will go through, crunch all the numbers, and then they'll send us an invoice for 25% after taking into consideration all of the previous expenses and our contributions.
And the grants and all of that stuff.
Correct.
That is applied
Yeah.
to the total cost.
So
Correct.
if we were to not get any additional funds and we had to pay the $111,000, in your talks with the finance director, where would those funds come from?
That would come from SCMR. So just to let you know, it was listed in that project, I gave you that big spreadsheet a couple weeks ago. So it was included in there, and we've been planning for this literally since, 2021, when we first passed that legislation. So those dollar amounts and contributions from each individual community, those were all listed. And I know Debbie included copies of each individual community's legislation, which, entered into the agreement.
Okay, now let me ask you a question.
Sure.
This is only our legislation, but there isn't any signed agreements between the four communities. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, so what my question is if we see, and it won't be anything signed until we see how much money we get, correct? This is what I'm saying.
No,
So let me just finish
Okay.
so you can understand what I'm saying.
Sure.
I like to see if, what is Twinsburg's gonna get? If they're gonna get the 400,000, that makes it a whole lot better. But if they get nothing, it doesn't make it as nice. So can we can approve the legislation, but not sign the agreement or participate in the agreement until or let me ask you, can we
Right.
pass the legislation, but not sign any agreements until we see how much Twinsburg is getting?
No, so the 2021 agreement actually bound us to this project. So, and realistically, any other agency, they would have just said, we have a joint cooperation agreement, here it is, the only reason that they're asking us to sign this is it's a format that the Ohio Public Works Commission uses. Kind of like the one we did with Glen Willow when we did the original project. They have a very specific scoring criteria for joint projects. I think they get an extra 20 points out of maybe a 200 scale, so it's 10%.
Right.
And every point matters.
Yeah, that's
So they don't want to take a chance of signing off for the communities without having that specific piece of legislation that OPWC requests as part of their application. And that's the only reason I'm here, is because we wanna make sure there's no chance that they don't get that additional 20 points, which will get them that funding.
And maybe I'm stating the obvious, but it seems to me that we're already committed to the project. And the outside worst is 111,000.
Right.
Cooperating in this legislation permits Twinsburg to go get more money that comes off that
Correct.
$100,000.
Yeah, so we're already bound to do it, all we're
I
doing
didn't know
now
we were
is
really bound to that.
reducing it, so.
Okay. Well, first of all, we know that this is on first reading,
Right.
because we don't have enough to suspend even if we thought about it, so. But I needed you to explain to everyone. So basically what, I guess, to simplify it, whatever the total cost was for what Glen Willow and Oakwood did with a minimum participation of Twinsburg, even though the funds and everything was paid out, the 77 from each of us, and I don't know how much Twinsburg paid. But now, the funding for this section will be, so what they'll do is combine the total cost of the phase that we already did with the new phase, and subtract all of the grants and everything that we get from all of the other organizations, and then divide it by 4.
Correct. And that was, that was the thing we insisted on with that 2021 agreement, was that, at the end, all of the contributions are equal.
Right.
And like I said, now all we're doing is trying to reduce the overall number for everybody.
Okay.
So,
I think I understood maybe a little different. When we entered into this in 21, we also got credit for what we had already paid.
correct.
And then we looked at the numbers again, and then the final number is divided by 4.
Right.
Correct.
All right.
It's in there. Okay, sir.
All right.
Anybody?
Any other questions? Chief, still with us?
Yeah, I had some comments, but
Thank you.
You can hear me.
Was he scheduled for, oh,
I didn't want to ask him off the mic. I didn't ask him off the mic.
Why?
Just wanted to find out about
You're here, that's right.
Did-
You know the history of this.
For trying out the walking trail.
I'm sorry?
Did you, post the bid yet for the walking trail for Tran?
No, not yet. That'll be probably, I would say, mid-July to end of July. So
And that's only going up to Lamson Road.
Correct.
Are we gonna discuss going, a little bit further now?
At some point,
At some,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah, as
'cause
funds
we know
become
we're
available.
gonna start. We know Lamson Road was our pick point.
It's just like this.
And then, yeah, we
Phase
just
one.
gotta bid, as long as it get done.
Yeah, and maybe be back 20 years from now explaining the first phase.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And that's it. Now I open up the floor for public comment. Any residents that have anything that you want to come up and say, whether it's,
I don't wanna come, I just wanted you to help to visualize, like, so when you're on, okay, Karen House, sorry. When you're on Richmond Road and you're coming into Shepherd Road, you know how on Shepherd Road, it has that curve that goes from Shepherd onto Ravenna? Is that what you're talking about to do on the opposite side of?
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
So that's why you're saying, if you're 7 cars back, if it doesn't, and you got somebody blocking it, wouldn't, is that our right of way? Like, the.
Yeah, so if I can
Go
answer
ahead.
your question. Yeah, so there is a right-of-way acquisition that's taking place right now. So
Mhm.
there's a ODOT pre-qualified right-of-way consultant that is doing the appraisals. So the next step is to secure property on both, I think there's the Oakwood side on Broadway, Twinsburg on Ravenna, and then Macedonia and Shepherd, but all of the right-of-way is there already on Richmond. We took care of that when we did that project in 2013.
Just just brought up, I'm gonna go back to her question. The walking path, are you going to go into private property to make
No.
that walkway,
Oh, are you talking about
the walking path?
on Lamson?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Triton? No, we're gonna stay right at the right-of-way line. So the road's a little offset and we're still kinda massaging the design on that.
Right,
Because the one side has got utility poles smack dab in the middle,
and
the other side's got some trees, so we're still working on what side is the best side to put it on.
right, cause I was trying to figure out where you're gonna do that, because you got ditches, you got everything.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's sort of like we did on Lamson. It's like what we did on Lamson.
Right, yeah.
So that's the.
And that's where we're at right now. We did the survey, you know, we're kinda laying it out and seeing what works best.
I see.
Okay,
I'm shooting.
yes.
Yvonne Evans Warren, 24457 Forbes Road. I just wanted to get, the mayor's not here though, but I wanted to see if there's an update on the Kroger building.
No, as a matter of fact, when he was incrementally telling everybody 2 weeks, you remember I was at the meeting with the people of Kroger about a month ago, and the mayor was telling everybody 2 weeks, or I said, Mayor, we won't know where we are until the middle of July, because of the fact that we're waiting to get the response from Chris Ronan, the county executive, who's gonna put money in, and from the state, who's gonna put money in, to see where we at totally, or the total amount of the contribution. So at this point, it'll be at the earliest about mid-July.
And if that doesn't go through, the exterior maintenance program that's related to it doesn't go through.
It doesn't go through. So we're working on that to try to get that to be a reality, but. Yeah, a part of the exterior maintenance program was not just isolated to Kroger's, because the big part of that was for Ward 4. Part of the total overall maintenance was for the Kroger's and the one that's on the other side, yeah.
Could you repeat what you just said?
The total, the original, agreement or, that we had is that when Kroger's was built, that's why they stopped, because they had stopped doing the work, that's why they stopped giving the money, remember? For Ward 4. That development is really specifically to start Ward 4's, to restart Ward 4, and the rest of the village was gonna be for whatever we can do from Kroger's, but also the place across the, McBee, Interstate McBee. Remember, he was saying that that's where the revenue was gonna come back, but it was never exclusively for the other poor ward. It was never exclusively for, no, I'm telling you, it was never exclusively for the Kroger site.
Not the Kroger site, that's not what the question was. The question was, at what point will the exterior maintenance program resume? I think, is that not what you asked?
And I said that we won't know until we get the Kroger site going, and I was explaining to her, and if you can look at the legislation to see, or the proposal to see, that we had Ward 4, if you look at the other ones, you see Ward 4, and then you had the other ones. Let me see if it's on the work session now, that's what it was carried on the work session, Ward 4, and then the other
Ward
one.
4 was connected to Kroger and Premier Development solely.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, and that's Kroger. That's Kroger. Okay, so,
Okay, let me repeat what I thought we were doing. Because of the charter, I'm gonna start from the ground and work my way up. The exterior maintenance program for Ward 4 was initially put in place to incentivize that particular ward to approve the Kroger's. And are we on the same page so far, right?
well, actually, it was to approve the other, it was Premier before Kroger's came in, so it was.
Premier,
Right.
well, Premier, Kroger's, all right. And what we did to seed it we used the general fund. So far, correct? All right.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Right.
With the understanding that as these projects came in and were developed, that every ward would then be a part of a village-wide exterior maintenance program, correct or not?
Yeah, that's what we said, saying.
It wasn't tied to any project though, it wasn't tied
No.
to interstate.
No,
No, well, but that's what the mayor was saying, is that interstate may be coming in, and, it was another one coming in, he was saying there's gonna be other revenue, and that's what we will be able to fund the other programs, the programs for the rest of the village. But specific to Ward 4 was Premier / Kroger's. And that's why that was a cut in stone, because we needed them to vote to approve it, because you not only had to get the village-wide vote for it, you had to get that specific ward. to vote. Percentages.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Right,
I think.
but just to answer your question, we,
But if Kroger says, if the Kroger deal falls through, so does the exterior maintenance program, correct?
for that program, yes it is, but it won't, if it falls through, yes.
That's across for all wards.
It's across the board because it was specifically for Ward 4 anyway, but it's across the board for all of it, because Kroger's would be able to create, what the finance director could tell you, create enough revenue in its, for the projections, that it could actually see some of the other programs, but we, just like I said, see for the other wards, but also it was other specific developments that were going in that we said will also be able to allow us to extend it towards 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 5.
No matter who's sitting in these positions, at some point, maybe
Right.
the rest of the village can be considered based on the history. Does that make sense? Based on the history of what we have done with the potential promise that once we got Kroger's and some of the other programs in that the mayor had promised, that at some point, I would hope that future council would consider extending it based on our history and what we had talked about, that we will extend it to the rest of the village. Because that was eventually what I think was the
That
intent.
was exactly what the intent was.
Okay,
Right.
so does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Kroger was like the foundation of that whole idea and concept. So, yes. Yes.
Just on the signs, the Oakwood Village signs, are they gonna be painted, or are they, there's gonna be flowers, or bricks, or that says Oakwood?
One of them seemed like it already had the flowers and all
There's-
that.
So the
There's
one
plantings,
that,
there's
so the one
plantings
on
on
Fair,
there.
like, that is really, that stands out, like, you can see the flowers, but it almost looks like the flowers are kinda around it.
Mhm.
Is that what you, like, when you're coming off the freeway?
That was, we planted flowers there, we had planted anyway, but there's be more plantings on all.
Yeah.
Right there.
But it's gonna be left white.
Yes.
So how does that work in the winter? Like, to reflect, like, is it gonna be like lights projecting, or what are you saying?
I
It
don't
could be
know.
some lights, that would be pretty. I mean.
Yeah, cause it's, when you coming off that freeway and you see it with the flowers underneath it, and they had lights, that would be nice. I was
Yeah,
just
we-
wondering if they were gonna be.
We're trying to live with solar light right now. How's that light coming up on the Holiday Hill side?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I got checked, I know, so we got about the best solar one you could buy, and I haven't really noticed it yet, but.
They work for solar lights because my neighbors, and probably y'all's neighbors have them on their driveways, the solar lights. That's what they, because you can't have you can't find an electrical feed over it.
Yeah, that was a problem over there.
So
on-
what the idea that you're having as far as lights, they could be if they use solar lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like I seen one where they put, because it kinda, like some areas, I think Alexander and there's, I can't think, when you come down Forest Road, it kinda like it's just like stuck there, like, it would be nice like down in the future, whatever, like they kind of bricked it at the, where the anchor is, bricked it and put some flowers to make it,
Yeah, a little less
I think
commercial,
he
just
plans
like
on
you
putting
said.
some plantings around there.
yeah, sorry that people work on you, but, you know, I was just.
That's a good idea though.
Yeah,
So
brick it out or
it
something.
won't look like you just stuck two things over.
Cause that's how it looks now, but
Yeah.
then when I saw it today, it was like on Fair, is that Fair Oaks or? Oakwood.
The one,
Want the flowers?
When you're getting out, it stands out.
Yeah, it does. Okay,
My next,
yes, sir.
all right. My name's Greg Rhodes, Macedonia Road. And, Councilwoman, Ward
Davis.
4, Mary,
Davis.
asked me to show these pictures.
Can you spell your name, honey?
RHODES.
Thank you.
To the building inspector, since they're not allowed on the property. So I went on there and got them.
We're very familiar.
You haven't seen the back. And the windows out.
What's going on that piece of property is the guy don't have any money. The money was stolen by a contractor. He had a permit. It expired, and I hope he doesn't lose the property, but he might.
I'm just afraid kids
Yeah,
could
no,
get in the house.
we're very familiar with the property.
But animals and kids could get in the basement of the house is wide open.
The guy needs to close it in from anything being able to get there.
Well, we'll force him into that. The thing is, he took a permit out to put an addition on it. The money was stolen when he came in, and he's out of money, that's for sure. We'll try to get him to do it.
He has water coming in from
Yeah.
the top window and there's still
Yes.
electricity.
Yeah, he's
There's
gonna
still
lose the
electricity
house.
in there.
He's gonna lose the house.
It could burn. Short
Gonna be
out and burn.
condemned.
Yeah.
We have a
Makes
few
it
of
a
those.
condemned state now, if you ask me, but from the pictures that Greg has shown me, but.
Yeah, I'm heartbroken over this. The guy's a nice guy, but, and you know, the cost of materials is skyrocketed too. So when you took a budget out, and I forget the dollar amount, say it was 55,000, something like that, for 750, I should have never done this. But like a shower pen, just a basin, 2 years ago it was $150, today it's $750. So, I feel sorry for the guy, like, he doesn't have the money, but, I guess we could bring him into court, that would be it, but trying these things, the best I can do is see if we can secure it, but he needs a roof,
There's
it's
no
leaking
roof on it.
water, yeah, it's,
Windows are missing.
windows, he doesn't buy them, my heart's broken on this.
All winter long, snow blowing in it, rain,
It's the,
second floor.
and we, before today, we checked the, taxes, to see, he's paying his taxes on it. He owes 1/2 of this year, and typically,
He's a year, half
yeah,
year.
and typically you get years behind on that.
Isn't he a house flipper? He just buys them.
No, I don't believe this guy's when we did it, I think it was in his wife's name, or his sister's name, the same last name. It was a woman, then it went to him. Then it went from him to a LLC, and I believe he's the LLC in it. It's the same guy.
Well, it's
Do you
like
know
that's a
this-
business-oriented deal more so than a personal deal, because you would turn your own house into an LLC in most cases.
Yeah, for liability purposes, somebody falls.
Right, but I understand that, but I guess what I'm saying is that you have compassion for everybody that's in a bad situation, but this guy went into it as a business and not as a home. So the thing is that if he went in it as a home, I would have a lot more compassion for what happened. But if he went in it for a business, it was a bad business decision. He should be going to try to get a bank and get a loan from a bank or something like that. But if he didn't encumber the house with the money that he paid the guy, he would have loaned against the house already. But it can't stay like that forever. It can't stay like that for long.
It's So it's gonna come down to another one that's gonna get condemned, and, they're gonna be popping up. You know, so the rentals, I said it wrong, the vacancies, one by one, we're gonna be condemned. That's, you know, if he wasn't paying his.
And now squatters got rights, so you get the squatters in there, you never get them out. Homeless, squatters.
You know, if somebody can move into your house as a squatter, she
Yeah.
can tell you're stuck
Yeah.
with it. We having some units in Columbus. People moved into the units, and we had to evict them. They just moved into some empty units, and we had to go through the process of evicting them. So we don't want somebody moving in the house and have to evict them. You know, there's another stage to use. Okay, so if that's it, I'll close the floor. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to bring it to, council's attention and to the residents that are here. The recreation committee met on, last Friday at the Wingate. At the Wingate Manor. They're gonna have their murder mystery there. It's gonna be on a Saturday night. And I guess we're going to request or ask the mayor, basically, you know, the rate to charge the residents. But at this point, if the residents do decide to go, it is a buffet. It would start like from 12 noon to like 3, it's a buffet. Very nice buffet. It has so many different, menu items that are on this buffet. Also served with chicken, fish, roast beef, and it's gonna take the place of that vineyard that they normally did at Pickle Bill's. Okay? This is Wingate, it's right in Menor. Once you get off of the freeway, maybe sitting, maybe one exit down from Emerald where Sam's Club is at. But the manager from Wingate said he can incorporate this. He's the owner. Okay, let me just go back. He's the owner. He can incorporate this with the night that you can stay over for Oakwood residents, $75. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful hotel. And the next morning when you get up, a full-fledged breakfast free. Okay, he's gonna put that in. Also, there's a cash bar. They have a very nice patio, and it has, you know, dancing, a DJ, whatever will be there. But it's a very nice venue. I think it would be really nice for the Oakwood residents to decide to go. Now, we don't know how many would stay, but he said he would do a room block for us. We didn't, you know, go into that. We are only going into just the murder mystery, which is 12 to 3. But if you wanted to stay, then you can reserve a room and do whatever and make a whole evening out of it. And we can kind of like arrange for the transportation for the seniors, because that is like a little night out for them. You know, sometimes they don't get that little date night that they want. This could be a date night for the little seniors if they decide that they want to go out. Huh? Well, you know, you'd be surprised, because I seen at that winter ball we went to, there's a lot of dates there. Seniors that went, and it's like a date night for them.
What month are you doing it?
This is gonna be July 22nd. That's gonna be on a Saturday, July 22nd. So.
As I say,
We're gonna arrange the transportation and see if everything is approved with the mayor and stuff. But it just takes the place of Pickle Bill's, and we were looking at Pickle Bill's versus this. Not Pickle Bill's. This is much better. Price is the same, okay? And you're getting much more out of it, and it's just in a nice, cleaner, better environment.
Is this something you're going to subsidize? Is that-
Yes, we're gonna instead of going to Pickle Bill's, we'll bust them here, okay?
But we'll pay something towards it.
Yes. I think it'd be nice, and we just throwing in that 75. If they wanna do it, then that could be their little date night, and we'll try and see if we
Why
can
you
get
keep pushing that date night?
Because believe me, it's something that you need.
She's trying to help Tom out.
That's
Stuck
all.
now.
I'll be quiet.
On the phone, Bob.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, and that's it, just a little information, just so that you know, just if you think that you do wanna go and if everything is approved by the mayor, it will be July 22nd, okay? And it will be from 12 to 3, which is the murder mystery. That's real fun, and it should go from there. And
That it?
July 22nd.
I'll close the floor and the podium and everywhere else for public comment. And we'll go on with today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first and only item on the agenda is ordinance 2023-33. Resolution.
That's 23.
2023-23. That's never good numbers. An emergency resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a cooperation agreement with the village of Glen Willow, city of Macedonia, and city of Twinsburg, which will allow the city of Twinsburg to apply to the Ohio Public Works Commission for a potential grant for funding of the Richmond Road, Shepherd Road, Broadway Avenue, and Ravenna Road intersection improvement project.
First reading.
Yes.
Okay. Now I know everybody's gonna be disappointed at this, but can I get a motion to adjourn? Councilmember Gager? Do I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Ms. Gaither? Ms. Harding?
Yes.
Ms. Millbrook?
Yes.